Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin. Conference Championship Sunday is over. We have our Super Bowl matchup set, and it is a rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Eagles versus Chiefs in New Orleans at the Superdome down there. So, Super Bowl setup is done. Let's go through the games that happened this weekend. First game that happened on Sunday was the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Start off with our losing team, the Washington Commanders, losing to Philly 55-23. 55 points, the most points ever scored in a conference championship game, AFC or NFC, in the history of the NFL. Jaden Daniels went 29-48, threw almost 50 passes in the game for 255 total yards, a touchdown, a pick, and he did run for a touchdown. This season, this Commanders team converted on fourth down 30 times. 30 fourth down conversions this season, the most all-time by any team in a single season. And this season, this whole postseason really came down to turnovers. All the way up until this point, the only team that's lost the turnover battle and won a game is, take a guess, the Kansas City Chiefs. They just did that yesterday, losing the turnover battle 1-0, still winning the football game. But the Commanders in this game turned the ball over 3 times, and they had 10 turnovers in their 3 games against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they only had 10 turnovers the rest of the season combined against the rest of the NFL. So that's how you lose a football game right there. That's not going to help you out. Over to the winning side, the Philadelphia Eagles, 55 points. Talked about it earlier, the most points ever scored in a conference championship game by any team. Jalen Hurts answered the questions about whether he could pass the football yesterday, and it was a very, very good performance from him. 20 of 28, 246 passing yards and a touchdown to go along with 16 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. The second time in his postseason career he has 3 rushing touchdowns, followed by that Super Bowl back 2 years ago against the Chiefs. Saquon went off in this game, 15 carries for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. The first time he touched the ball in this game, he busted out a swing, or it was a toss to the left, and he busted out a 60-yard touchdown, making the secondary of the Commanders look absolutely terrible. It was an unbelievable play by Saquon Barkley. So 15 carries for 118 and 3 touchdowns, 414 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns in the 3 games that he's played against the Commanders this season. He became the first player in NFL history to have 2 rushing touchdowns in every game that they played against a team in Saquon, 15 carries for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. 414 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns in the 3 games he's played against Washington. He's the first player in NFL history to score 2 touchdowns in 3 games against the same team in a single season. Unbelievable. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts are the first pair of teammates to both have 3 rushing touchdowns in the same postseason game. And Saquon in this postseason, 442 yards and 5 touchdowns. The first player with 3 straight 100-yard rushing games in a single postseason since Terrell Davis back in 1998. One of 2 players to have 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in a postseason, obviously joining Terrell Davis as well. 7 rushing touchdowns in the game for Philadelphia. 7 rushing touchdowns, 36 carries, 229 yards, and 7 rushing touchdowns. Tied for the most all-time in a postseason game with the 1940 NFL championship team, the Chicago Bears, over Washington. There were no punts in the first half of this game for the first time in the NFC championship game since 2003. The Eagles defense forced 4 takeaways. They had 3 sacks and 16 quarterback pressures, which is the most by an Eagles team in a playoff game in 5 years. They advanced to their second Super Bowl in the last 3 seasons. Nick Sirianni becomes the first Eagles coach ever to reach 2 Super Bowls. So remember earlier this season, and they were like, get this guy out of here, man. He's yelling at the fans. He's just a dick. Like, get Nick Sirianni out of here. What do you think now? Second Super Bowl appearance, only Eagles coach ever to do it. Third head coach ever to reach the Super Bowl twice in their first 4 seasons, joining Joe Gibbs and Mike Tomlin. Pretty elite company there. And Jalen Hurts, the first Eagles quarterback to reach 2 Super Bowls ever. 32-point win was the largest in Eagles postseason history. And, like I mentioned a few times, now setting up a rematch against the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And the last time we saw this game, it was an absolute nail-biter. 38-35 was the final. The Chiefs ended up winning. But Jalen Hurts had the game of his life. 304 passing yards, a touchdown, 70 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns in the game. He played unbelievable, except for that one play where he just dropped the ball and Nick Bolton returned it for a touchdown. So if he didn't make that play, I believe Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl champion. But he'll get another chance again. Second time he's going there in the last 3 years. Over to the AFC. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes for the 4th time in the playoffs. That is the second most time that a quarterback matchup has been played in a playoffs in NFL history since 1950. The only other matchup that's been played more is Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Josh Allen in this game, 24 for 34, 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. Played a really solid game, just too much this Kansas City Chiefs defense was late. 7 playoff wins by Josh Allen is the most by a quarterback who has not made the Super Bowl in NFL history. James Cook scored his 18th rushing touchdown of the season. That is tied for the most in franchise history with Josh Allen. Unbelievable. The Bills have 78 wins in the last 6 years. 78 wins within the last 6 years is the most in any 6-year span without making the Super Bowl ever. Just absolutely brutal for Josh Allen and this Bills team. 8 consecutive road losses in the playoffs. That is tied for the second longest streak in NFL history. Their last win came in 1992, during that stretch where they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but lost all 4. And this year, we saw 2 teams this weekend, both games on Sunday included a team that went for it the second most times in the history of the NFL in a playoff game on 4th down. The Bills and the Commanders, both the teams that lost, coincidentally, both went for it on 4th down 6 times. That is the second most in NFL history in the playoffs behind the Colts 7 back in 2003. And over to the Kansas City Chiefs heading to their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 years, 3rd in a row, looking to become the first team in the history of the NFL to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. And if you've been watching this show, you know me. You see what's behind me. You see this right here. Oh my God. The most hated rival of the Raiders forever. The Chiefs and the Raiders have been number 1 biggest rivals for the history of their existence. They've hated each other since the beginning. The Chiefs won Super Bowl 4, right? Since then, they didn't make the Super Bowl for 60 years. They went to the Super Bowl in 2018 or 19. They win that. They miss one. They go back, they win. They miss one. They go back, they win. They go back, they win. And now they're trying to go back and win for the 4th time in the last 6 years and 3 in a row. Just painting the soul of my Raider fandom. I had to wear my silver and black today, even though it wasn't Raider stuff. I just have to. Man, it's absolutely ridiculous. Tom Brady, this is a better start to a career. This is a problem. The Chiefs are the first team ever that has won back-to-back Super Bowls to make the Super Bowl. 3 of the teams previously missed the playoffs. 2 of them lost in the divisional round. 3 of them lost in the conference championship round. And now only one, this year's Kansas City Chiefs, makes the Super Bowl. They're the 4th team ever to make 3 straight Super Bowls. Mahomes in this game went 18 of 26, 245 passing yards, a touchdown, 43 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. It was his 17th postseason win as a quarterback, the second most in NFL history, only behind Tom Brady's 35. Mahomes is tied with John Elway for the second most Super Bowl appearances ever with 5. Again, only behind Brady, who has 10. Xavier Worthy. Oh, and Mahomes, the 3rd quarterback to reach 5 Super Bowls. Xavier Worthy, 6 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. He had an unbelievable day. And man, of course, that comes back to beat the Bills in the playoffs. I feel like every NFL fan said that as soon as it happened. The Bills traded back in the draft this year. They knew they needed a receiver. Everyone knew they needed a receiver. There were 2 teams that kind of everyone knew was going to draft a wide receiver in the 1st round. Those 2 teams were the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2 teams we saw in the AFC Championship game. The Bills had the pick first, obviously, because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. They had the last pick in the 1st round. Buffalo traded their pick, I believe it was like 27, go from 27 to 32, trading with the Chiefs. And who did the Chiefs draft at the Bills spot? Of course, Xavier Worthy, the fastest player to ever run at the Combine. Everyone shit all over the Bills for doing it at the time, and they're going to shit all over the Bills now because look what happened. He came back to bite them in the ass in the AFC Championship game, and you know who didn't really have that good of a game? Keon Coleman, the guy that they traded down to draft. No shade to Keon Coleman. You're an unbelievable player, but man, how do you do that? I don't even care about trading the guy or trading back, whatever, and whoever gets him. How do you trade back with the Kansas City Chiefs? You trade back with the Kansas City Chiefs, and everyone said it at the time. It's going to come back to bite you in the ass, and what does it do? You're screwed in the AFC Championship game. Unbelievable. Andy Reid's 44th career postseason game ties him for the most all-time with Coach Bill Belichick. He advances to his 6th career Super Bowl, tied for the second most of all time with Don Shula, only behind Bill Belichick's 9. The Chiefs have won 17 games in a row by one score. 17 games in a row. That is absolutely absurd. Mahomes has the second most playoff wins now when trailing in the fourth quarter. 6 to be exact, only behind guess who? Tom Brady. He has 9. And the Chiefs just matched they're the only Super Bowl team to have a chance to win 3 in a row. And they're the only Super Bowl team to make the Super Bowl 5 years in a 6-year span. They join 6 other North American sports franchises to make the finals, the Super Bowl, the World Series, you know what I'm saying, in 5 of 6 years. So the Chiefs just did it 5 out of 6 from 2019 to 2024. The Warriors did it 5 out of 6, 2015 to 2019. The Yankees did it twice back in the 90s and 2000s. The Lakers did it 4 different times. The Oilers did it in 1983 to 88, and the Islanders from 80 to 84. So just an unprecedented 5 times making the Super Bowl in 6 years. Not even the Patriots did that. The San Francisco 49ers didn't do that. The Steelers didn't do that. Man, as a Raiders fan, this is just an absolute painful time. Today is Monday, January 27th. The Super Bowl is February 9th. Every waking moment until that day, until that time at 6:30, that Super Bowl starts, and even through that Super Bowl, until it ends, and probably for another week after, the only thing we're going to talk about is the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. And it pains the soul. They just continue to do what they do. And this isn't me being like, hey, they're not very good, because I know they're good. I firsthand, maybe more than anyone else, know they're good. As soon as we started playing Patrick Mahomes, like I always hated Alex Smith, because Alex Smith used to always beat us, right? I always knew the Chiefs were good, but they weren't that good then. They get Mahomes, and I just knew that this guy was going to beat the living hell out of us pretty much every year. I think we've beat him once, maybe twice, since he's been a starter. He doesn't win games in the division, or doesn't lose games in the division. He's probably lost 3 or 4 games in the division since he's become a starter. He's never not made the AFC Championship as a starting quarterback, and now he goes to another Super Bowl trying to win 3 in a row for the first time ever. And man, like I said, not trying to take anything away from him. That's just unbelievable. I said it before. He's had a better start to a career than Tom Brady, even Tom Brady. But man, does it pain me to watch. I just want to win a game in the playoffs, man. The Raiders haven't won a playoff game since the 2002 AFC Championship game, dog. And there's a cherry on top, too. Why does the freaking AFC Championship trophy have to be called the Lamar Hunt Trophy? The notorious owner of the Chiefs. Like, I don't even want to win that as a Raiders fan. I just want to go to the Super Bowl. Don't give me the trophy. I don't care about Lamar Hunt. Sorry, Lamar Hunt, you're a legend of the game of football, but I'm a Raiders fan. I'm trained to hate you. God, what a terrible time to be a Raiders fan. We can't figure anything out, and the Chiefs are having one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history. So, that's going to do it for this episode. 2 weeks, we got the Super Bowl. We'll have a preview episode for that coming up soon. Make sure you tune into that one. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. That wraps up. There's only one more football game left until August. Pains to say that, and of course, the Chiefs will be playing it again. So until next time, I'm Frank Rampin. This has been the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. Peace out.